Hey guys, it's me, Mr. Higgins. Funny story. This is the third time this morning that I've recorded this video, so it's fun, and I'm in a really good mood as a result. Anyway, happy Wingman Wednesday. I do have a Bob story for you today, so hopefully that will put me in a better mood. Oof. Focus question today is about that Bob story. I'll get to it in a few minutes. And you can see our agenda today. We have some announcements, Project Quarantine, story time, and then the workload for today. Let's get into it. Oh, look at that picture of Rory on the bridge. He is so cute. There's LP behind him. He's cute too, I guess. Tomorrow we have a Google Meet. It's at 1 o'clock. It's a combined meet. It's a game day because it's Thursday. And the game we're going to be playing tomorrow is Name That Tune. Music trivia. No, the prize is not $100,000. That's just a graphic from when the game shows on TV. When I was a kid, a long time ago. It makes me feel old. Project Quarantine. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Adriana broke her collarbone right after the pandemic started. Yikes. Before that, she had been playing a lot of softball and some basketball and doing a lot of tumbling. Perhaps that's how she broke her collarbone. I don't know. And now she is just spending her time going on walks and doing some less hazardous things with her time, except for this picture, which her mom yelled at her for, and I can understand why. It looks like she's about to break her other collarbone. Adriana, please be careful. Holy cow. Story time. Third time I've read this story this morning. It's fun. It's fun. I'm not upset about it. Okay, to what degree was Bob responsible for the fight between Billy and Ben that occurred at Colonialville High School? That is your focus question for this story. So as you're thinking, I want you to think about what role did Bob play in this fight that breaks out between Billy and Ben? Was he fully responsible for it? Was he partially responsible for it? Was he not responsible at all? To what degree is the question that you're going to be answering on a Google Doc that I will have posted hopefully by 9 a.m. But this is the third time I've recorded this video, so who knows? Maybe it won't be posted till 3 p.m. by the time I actually finish. It's a good time. It's a good time, not upset. Okay, I love that graphic of me doing story time. If you do not want to hear me do the read aloud, there will be a print version of this available so you can read it on your own or have that weird Google read aloud program do it so you can hear it in a computer voice. All right, here we go. Take 3. A tale of 2 students. Life was bleak for Bob when we last left him. Bob was behind bars in a communist nation. He ended up in prison as a result of his bovine business. Remember, bovine is a B word that means cow. Bob broke out of prison, but that is a story for a different day. Today, we are going to look back on Bob's life. Bob had many jobs before he got busted and thrown in jail. He was a cartographer, a dog biscuit baron, a honey manufacturer, a professional bowler, and of course, a bovine salesman. But before Bob began any of those business ventures, he was a teacher. Bob taught business and biology, of course, at Colonialville High School in Berlin, Connecticut. As a new teacher, Bob did not want bedlam in his classes. He wanted to be in control of his students. His friend, Mr. Smits, was fired from the teaching profession because he was unable to control his students. I don't know if you remember Mr. Smits. We read about him in 6th grade. He was a social studies teacher at Anarchy Middle School, and his kids were totally out of control. Gum chewing, shaved head. I don't know if you remember any of that, but it was a nightmare. Bob did not want to end up in that situation. So Bob was not going to let his students pick their seats on the first day of school. He wanted to make sure that his students knew that Bob was the boss. Before the school year began, Bob went to the guidance counselor, Beatrice Bellevue, with his class lists. He asked the guidance counselor to identify which of his students were friends with each other. Yikes! You have Billy Brown in class? Billy likes to babble on and on. He talks to everyone non-stop, blabbered Mrs. Bellevue. Oh, I see you also have Ben Biseglio in class. Those 2 boys have had a beef with each other since elementary school. To quote Taylor Swift, they got bad blood. Ben is probably the only student in your class that Billy won't talk to. Miss Bellevue gave Bob some more advice before he left. "Thanks, B," said Bob as he backed out the door. Based on that information, Bob created a seating chart for his classroom, ensuring that friends were seated on opposite sides of the room. Bob seated Billy and Ben right next to each other in the corner of the room. On the first day of school, his students boisterously bounded into the room, but Bob quickly put an end to that. "Everyone quiet down," bellowed Bob. From that moment on, his students were silent. Bob then took attendance and showed each of his students to their new seats. Billy was bummed when he learned that he would be seated next to Ben. Ben was beside himself with sadness, knowing that he would be sitting next to Billy. B thing is funny. Here we go. After reviewing the classroom rules, Mr. Bob described a major project that he designed for his class. The goal of the project was for students to come up with an idea for a profitable business. Students would be given time to think about all aspects of starting their own business, renting a space, creating a logo, hiring employees, etc. Students would begin the project in September, and they would have the entire first trimester to complete it. All of Bob's students seemed pretty excited about the project. "This is the first time I've ever done a project in school that might help me in real life," Billy bellowed across the room to his friends. Ben was equally excited by the project. Ben wanted to major in business when he went to college, and if he did well on this project, it would look good on his college applications. For the first time since class began, neither Billy nor Ben were brokenhearted about the seating arrangement. Bob distributed the project handout as he continued describing the project. "Oh, I forgot to mention, this is a partner project, and I will be picking your partners," said Bob. After all, Mr. Bob was the boss of this business class. As you probably guessed, Billy and Ben were told that they would be working together. Both boys were feeling blue. After class, Ben approached Mr. Bob and begged for a different partner. Ben told Mr. Bob that the two boys have nothing in common and that they've never really been friendly. He even explained that he and Billy used to have a beef back in middle school that once resulted in a big bad brawl between the two boys. After hearing the story, Bob said to Ben, "I think working on this project will help you guys work out your differences. By the end of it, you might be best bros." After talking with Mr. Bob, Ben thought his future in business class looked bleak. Billy knew his mom might be a beacon of hope in this situation. After hearing about his partner for the business class project, Billy's mom sent an email to Mr. Bob saying that she thought Billy and Ben working together was a bad idea. She told Mr. Bob about the battle that had resulted in broken bones back in middle school. Bob believed that if he gave the boys request, he would appear to have lost control, so he didn't budge. The first day of working together was a complete disaster. The boys bickered for the entire class period. Billy's business idea was to create and sell baseball beverages. What are baseball beverages? Ben blasted Billy for his idea, calling him a butthead. Ben's idea was a beauty salon / burger business. You know, like have a bite to eat while you get your hair braided. Billy began to berate Ben for his bozo idea. At the end of class, both boys begged Bob for new partners. They even said they would be willing to complete the entire project alone, but Bob would not budge. He wanted to keep the boys together to show them and the other students that he was a boss. Ben even went to Miss Bellevue, the guidance counselor, remember, to ask for help. Miss B told Bob that Billy and Ben were like two bombs about to explode. She behooved Bob to give the boys new partners, but Bob didn't back down. That evening, Billy began bitterly bad-mouthing Ben to his buddies via social media. Billy had taken a really awful video of Ben when they were bickering in class that day and broadcasted it on Binstagram, the most popular social media platform at the time. That's right, Binstagram. I was running out of B words. Ben, a bashful boy to begin with, felt bruised and battered by the social media attack. Ben's dad called Mr. Bob and said, "Billy besmirched Ben's reputation on Binstagram." Mr. Biseglio tried to bargain with Mr. Bob, but again, Bob balked at the idea of giving the boys new partners. He would not budge. The next day, Billy bumped into Ben in the hallway, intentionally. Ben then bragged that he was going out with Betty, Billy's ex-girlfriend, which was true. They found out that they both liked each other, liked each other at lunch the day before, and they started going out. Tension between the two boys had reached a boiling point. Billy went berserk. The two boys began beating on each other in the middle of the hall. Bob saw the fight and made a beeline for the phone to beckon the school security officer to break up the fight. By that time, both boys were bloodied and boo-hooing. Both boys were given 5 days of in-school suspension. When the vice principal learned that the boys and the parents tried to convince Bob to switch partners, she was not happy with Mr. Bob. The end of this Bob tale. Now, what I want you to be thinking about is to what degree was Bob responsible for this fight that took place between Billy and Ben? Was it he bears no responsibility at all? Like, this is just all on Billy and Ben, and maybe Betty, I don't know. Is it that he bears some responsibility for this? And if so, why? Or is he, really to blame in this situation? That's what I want you to be thinking about, and you're going to jot down your answers on a Google Doc that I will have posted probably a little after 9, because I don't know if I mentioned this. It's the 3rd time that I recorded this video. Good times. Your work for today. Tale of Two student question. It's not due until Friday. I'm giving you a good amount of time to get it done. Tomorrow's going to be a catch-up day, so no new work tomorrow. So you can take your time with that one. Reread it, enjoy it, count the number of B's in the story. I think I get an A for the number of B's, if you know what I'm saying. The Long Shadow of Apartheid Central Idea that was assigned earlier this week, that's due today. Virtual map, because you can just practice. You should do that both today and tomorrow. And of course, if you have any missing work or anything you want to revise, you could do that. I cannot believe that I've successfully finished this video. You have no idea how happy I am. Happy Wingman Wednesday. And I will be seeing all of you tomorrow.